So today we are going to start a new chapter, that is turbulent flows, and it would be the last chapter. If time permits, then I will go into instability. Otherwise, this would be our last chapter. Uh, in this particular chapter, we are going to see. We start with introduction to turbulent flows. What I'll talk about few terminologies about turbulent flows. Turbulent flows are often associated with several lengths and time scales. We'll see. And there is something called Kolmogorov length scale, which is the least length scale uh, and that you would expect in a fluid motion, and that is called Kolmogorov length scale, and after which the energy dissipates through viscosity and all. We'll see in details. We will also see the kinetic energy budget of the mean flow. Means there is a cascading of one second, I have one second. Okay, I'm sorry. One call came. Okay, so we will also look the cascading of energy, which are quite prominent features in turbulent flows. We'll see cascading of kinetic energy from higher length scales to smaller length scale till it reaches to viscous dissipation. We'll also see turbulent production. So there is something called additional source term, or what which leads to vortex stretching and all. It leads to those phenomena, and we'll see. Let me write that: vortex stretching. All sorts of things we can see in this particular chapter. We'll also see some averaged quantity. We are not going to do the analysis analytically, so because the reason being the flows are very chaotic, very random, and there are the fluctuations are very high, so it would be better to go for averaged analysis. We'll see some correlations. So all averaged quantities, or in statistical mathematics, you might statistics approach, you might have heard about. You if you analyze the flow behavior or the variables, you have to go by some correlations. You have to look for some correlations to actually characterize uh, the the variables. We'll also look at the spectra analysis. I mean, the time domain or time domain dependent variables will be transformed into the frequency domain, uh, and from there we can actually pick what frequency, what troubling frequency there, or a band of frequencies are there. uh, so all sorts of things we'll see. Later we'll see something called Reynolds average equation of motion. So it is actually an approximate method, but we are going to uh, do the average, some sort of average of your Navier-Stokes equation, and we call that averaged equation uh, as Reynolds average equation of motion, and also called RANS. and which is quite, which is one of, which is the key governing equation for turbulent equations. But again, it is in average sense. We'll also look into wall free and wall bounded shear flows, and then we will come into turbulence models. And essentially, this RANS model is not closed mathematically. So closed means you the unknown variables are higher than the boundary conditions. So we need to close this mathematical close. It's kind of closure problem, you can say. Okay, you need to close the mathematical uh, formulation so that you can actually find the solution. Okay, if you have high number of variables u, v, p, and several other things, and you have lesser boundary conditions, you cannot solve this equation. And in RANS we find that there are more variables uh, than the conditions that we have. So for to close this system properly, pose the correct mathematical closure problem, we need to uh, look for additional equations. Okay, so those additional equations are associated with different turbulent models. So when I approximate some equation in Prandtl mixing length model, and we can close it through this, or we can close it through eddy viscosity model, or we can close it through k epsilon models, or we can close it through k omega models. And all these things, all models essentially closes or helps me out finding the solution of this RANS equation by closing the solution, or you can say giving an additional information to the system. And these all things are actually some sort of approximated way to do that, obviously. And in some flow scenario it works, and in some others it doesn't. And so we'll see what are the pros and cons of this turbulent flows in this chapter. So starting with definition of turbulent flows. So in fluid dynamics, turbulence or turbulent flows is a fluid motion characterized by chaotic changes in pressure and flow velocity. So the term chaotic changes is very important. So this is also called randomness. The randomness is very high. It's randomness means you don't know, your flow fields are fluctuating. Let's suppose you have a flow field, and you have a pitot tube or some measuring instrument, and you are measuring, let's suppose, my u velocity, x-axis velocity, with time. So you start with t is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3. After half an hour, 1 hour, you want to see what u velocity here is in turbulent flows. If you plot this thing in time axis, you will see very chaotic behavior of u, very fluctuating, and you don't see any pattern here. Okay, so that is why it is very random. Okay, not only u, there are, if you plot v velocity as well on top of it. So let's suppose I'm plotting v velocity. Let's suppose it starts from here. We don't know. I mean, it is very random. Not only v, the w's are also. So it's essentially a three-dimensional chaoticness. I may explain in this flow field. But whenever you talk about the laminar flow, if the flow was laminar enough and going nicely, so when you measure this at this particular point with some pitot tube or some measurement device, you'll see your u, v, and w's are quite uh, not changing with time or fluctuating with time all the time. It's constant, more or less constant. Once steady state is achieved, you can see everything is pretty much not fluctuating, UVW, everything. Okay, but here you will see the randomness is very high. That is why we go for a statistical approach here to find the flow behavior of turbulent flows. Okay, to give a history of where it comes from. So Reynolds in 1882 or so, he did an experiment. He took a large tank of water. So water was filled in here, and he took a pipe. Okay, and in this pipe he injected a dye. So this is your dye, red colored dye, and he injected very smoothly. Okay, and he took several cases. So case 1, case 2, probably he took 2 cases. In case 1, he what he did, the flow velocity of this tank, so this particular tank may have some inlet and some outlet. Let's suppose some inlet and some outlet. So inlet velocity, or he took the velocity of this the fluid that contained in the tank with some below threshold value. Let's suppose 1, or maybe mass flow rate 1 kg per second, or maybe velocity was quite low, maybe 0.5 meter per second, or maybe more something or of that order. This is the quantification is not necessary, but yes, but below a threshold value, what that the dye, which is not at all mixing with the flow. So when he injected dye, you will see the trace of the dye is very much constant throughout the flow. But in case 2, what he did, he actually increased the flow rate to a higher order, maybe 10 or hundreds of orders kilogram per second. Then when he injected dye, he see after coming out of in some place, it started oscillating, and then dye actually dissipates or disperse throughout the channel of throughout the flow in the channel. I mean throughout the flow. Okay, it started mixing chaotically. So it actually shows that the fluid particle, so since dye is actually going along with the fluid particle, so fluid particle essentially, or fluid element essentially, is vigorously oscillating, or oscillating in nature, or vigorously random. Okay, but in laminar flow he didn't see any sort of thing. So what he proposed, that there is some phenomena that acts, or he characterizes this thing with some sort of threshold or critical Reynolds number. So he proposed that below a critical Reynolds number, things are, your inertial effects, your viscous effects dominates inertial effects. But when you increase your flow situation with a particular Reynolds number, by increasing, either by increasing the velocity, or by increasing the mass flow rate, or VL by mu, or increasing the length scale, or maybe the diameter you took larger, or decreasing the viscosity. Either by all these things, you can actually tweak this critical Reynolds number, and then he suggested that after this higher than some Reynolds critical, your inertial effects dominates over viscous effects. Okay, and that is why the fluid no longer stick to one place, and it starts fluctuating. The fluctuation also gave an insight that mean flows are often added with some sort of perturbations all the time. Okay, it's all the time, it's there, perturbations are sitting over there. Even for laminar flows also it's sitting over there. But the thing is, since viscous effects dominates, these perturbations are does not grow in time or space. But when your Reynolds number reaches to a certain threshold, or it crosses that threshold, mean plus perturbations are still there, but now this perturbation grows, it grows exponentially, okay, and dominates everything. And devastate all the flow situation scenarios, okay. And here in laminar flows, the perturbations are there, but it doesn't grow. It actually dampens out with time because viscous effects always dominates. Okay, viscosity tried to pull it back, but here, since inertial effects dominates over viscosity, the perturbations take over, and it actually characterize your flow situation, flow behavior downstream and in the time and space. So before going into the several, I just wanted to let you know, guys, that turbulent flows are often characterized by several length scales and time scales. This is one of the most prominent feature of any turbulent flow. It consists several length scales and time scales. So what does it mean? Let's suppose I take laminar flow in a pipe. So when I start with some homogeneous flow, at most it becomes parabolic, if at all it is laminar in laminar regime, or maybe less than 200. Reynolds number is less than 200, and based on this diameter, Reynolds number based on the characteristic length scale of this diameter. So we know that the only length scale that a laminar flow possesses is its diameter or radius, okay, whichever you are convenient to define the Reynolds number. So it only have one length scale or one time scale, okay, and this only this length scales and time scale characterizes this flow situation, okay. You know this d, and you know this time scale or velocity scale. If you have u infinity, I know characteristic, outside velocity is free stream velocity is u infinity. So once you know u infinity and d, you are fine. You can know the whole scenario. Your Reynolds number is u infinity d by mu, and you actually know all sorts of things. So you can know all the flow field, everything, you know. So it only possesses one time scale and one length scale, okay. But in turbulent flows, since things are very chaotic, okay, and it actually have several length scales. So if I talk about in the channel itself, so let's suppose this length is d. So have some velocity profile, but okay, but that's the surety I have is the highest length scale or the largest length scale, it would possess would be d, but that would be largest, not the only one. But the smallest, it could have any or infinitely many numbers, okay. So the only way to characterize this turbulent flow is to know all sorts of time scales or length scales that a turbulent flow possesses. So it will have d by 2, or maybe d by 3, d by 1 or 2.5, or maybe infinitely many d by, or it goes till molecular level, okay. It will have infinitely many length scales, okay. So the only way to actually know the whole picture of turbulent flow is to know all sorts of time scales, or we should have knowledge of all sorts of length scales, okay. Not only in time length scale scenario, we have time scale as well. So it will have t by 2, t by 3, also till infinity, till molecular level. So you need to know all these time scales, several intermediate time scales till molecular level, then only you will be characterize your turbulent flow. Not like Laminar flow, it will have only one time and length scale, and you can characterize the flow, you know, the flow field. But here, since things are very, I mean, there are oh, okay, one more thing I want to talk about is it also characterizes, so length scales and time scales are one thing, and another thing is the pictorial representation of those length scale and time scale are often seen in terms of eddies. So eddies are some sort of rotating lumps of fluids, okay, that are there in the turbulent flow. So you'll see turbulent flows are often characterized by rotating lumps of fluid with the diameter maximum diameter as the length scale, highest length scale of the uh, flow scenario. As in the case here, it is D. As in the case of boundary layer, you can say it is having highest delta. Okay, but it also has, if it is a plane Poiseuille flow, it will have largest length scale. Largest length scale will be D or delta. Okay, but the smallest, it can go any infinitely number of times, D by 2 or delta by 2, delta by 3, till molecular level. Okay, so the molecular level time scale is given by some I mean something called eta time scale, and this eta time scale is often called as Kolmogorov length scale. Kolmogorov length scale. So we'll do an order of analysis. Actually, how to characterize these things. Unless we know the order of these things, we cannot judge it properly. So we will go and do the order of analysis in details in few subsequent few slides. Okay, in detail, in order to capture the whole dynamics of this turbulent flow scenario. Okay, so before going into the details of order of analysis, let us talk about few characteristics as a theory part. What are the how your turbulent flows are characterized in reality. So the first characteristic is randomness. Turbulent flows are seen irregular, chaotic, and you don't know. So randomness means one more thing. Uh, so you don't know, you cannot predict it. I mean, at t is equal to, let's suppose, one fluid was north with 1 meter per second. If you come and see at very next second 1.1, it is at all at out of phase going minus 23 meter per second. We don't know. I mean, it's so random, it's so chaotic. Okay, so you cannot actually characterize things just by looking at it. So we have to be careful while predicting the turbulent flows. Okay, we actually, it's unpredictable, but in some sense, in statistically, we can do some predictions in overall sense. Okay, we'll see how later. Second thing is, it is very highly non-linear. Turbulent flows are highly non-linear. What does it mean, highly non-linear? So highly non-linearity means, obviously it is your u velocity. If you uh, take a pitot tube and you see, check the velocity at all the time, you at all the time you want to, so it is very random. Okay, but this is the not only, so this is the randomness you are talking about, chaoticness, unpredictableness. But the non-linearity comes into picture when, so you started with some initial condition, so you just tweak the initial condition of your flow scenario just a little bit by order of your, maybe order of errors, very 10 to the power minus 3 orders. Maybe if you just tweak your initial condition, you see your flow is going somewhere else. It is not in our predictability, not in, I mean, you cannot say what's happening. Okay, even if you just tweak your initial condition up a little bit, your whole flow field will give you a new picture. You don't know why. So that is why, so this actually comes into picture because of the non-linearity, very high non-linearity, that these turbulent flows possesses. Okay. The next characteristics of turbulent flows are very high diffusivity or mixing. So due to macroscopic mixing of fluid particles, turbulent flows are characterized by rapid rate of diffusion of momentum and heat. Okay. So it also characterizes with high amount of mixing or diffusivity. It diffuses things. I mean, your properties diffuses quickly. So that is why your properties such as your momentum, your heat. So that is why heat transfers are, if you are looking at the heat transfer characteristics, you often go into turbulent regime. That you might know that in laminar flow your heat transfer would be, I mean, very less order. Okay, but whenever you go in turbulent regime, you see your heat transfer characteristics, your H, coefficient of heat transfers, or convective heat transfers, or all sorts of things, all sorts of characteristics of heat transfer coefficients shoots up very high. Okay, because of very rapid rate of diffusion of momentum. Okay. So in some devices, some heat exchangers, we actually deliberately need things to be in turbulent regime. So not only heat transfer characteristics, whenever you need mixings, you want to mix things, you also need things go into turbulent regime. Okay, and that is advantageous for us sometimes. So it is not always con for us. Sometimes it is advantageous also, like in our heat transfer problems. Next keyword is, I mean, the turbulent flows are often characterized with rotating lumps of fluid, and that are there in everywhere, rotating lumps with smaller to a bigger length scales as well, order of d to smallest length scale of eta, that is of molecular level. So vorticity, turbulence is characterized by high level of fluctuating vorticities. Okay, and vorticities are there, and also it is fluctuating. In some time it is rotating this way, sometimes it break down into two vortices or three or five, and it is rotating somewhere else. And but the rotations are there. Okay, it is a, the rotating lumps are often the key components of turbulence, and it is the most identifiable structures in turbulent flows, and vaguely called eddies. Okay, it is also called eddies. So last characteristic is the dissipation mechanism. The vortex stretching mechanism transfers energy and vorticity to increasingly smaller scales until the gradients become so large that they are smeared out by viscosity. So that leads to, we will talk about vortex stretching in later slides, and but the dissipation of energy, so energy is dissipating from mean velocity to the largest eddy, to smaller eddies. Okay, it is being dissipated to lastly viscous dissipation by heat or friction, or viscous effect dominates and it takes away all the energy. But you may argue that, sir, if things are smeared out at the viscous, I mean, through viscosity at the end, then every should stop by then. I mean, by the time, or maybe in few hours, things should die out. Everything okay. But the reason being, the energy, the largest eddy takes kinetic energy from the mean flow, and yes, you need uh, to supply uh, energy to the mean flow all the time in order to sustain the kinetic, in order to sustain the turbulent flows. So if you don't energize, I mean, if there is no mean flow, I mean, if there is no pressure gradient to the flow, everything dies out, and it does not show, or it does not, uh, we cannot observe the turbulent flows as such. Okay, so we need to supply energy to the flow all the time, okay, to sustain the turbulency. Okay, now let us talk about energy cascading in detail and several length scales and time scales, and lastly the smallest length scale, that is called Kolmogorov length scale. So let us look into that. So let's suppose I have a channel. So channel will have the largest eddy of the order of a diameter. Okay, largest eddy. So this largest eddy actually takes kinetic energy from the mean flow. See, this largest eddy can break up, and we'll see why it break up as well. But for the timing, let's suppose it break up into smaller eddies. Okay, and cascades its energy. So energy being cascaded to smaller eddies. To molecular level eddies, very small, and to capture it, that is why the computational cost of turbulent simulations are very high, because you need to capture all sorts of length scales and time scales, isn't it very difficult, huh? You have to go till molecular level, then only you can actually tell what's happening here and there. Okay, otherwise you cannot tell. And lastly, it undergoes through viscosity, viscous dissipation. Through viscosity occurs in the form of heat or friction. So this thing is called energy cascading. Okay, so now Reynolds number plays a very big role here. Okay, so Reynolds number at the largest scale, let's suppose this is D or L, let's suppose this is L, let's suppose length of the plate, or maybe we'll keep it generic. So we will keep it generic. This is my L. So Reynolds number based on this length scale uh, is very high at the macroscopic way, or at the highest scale, at the largest scale. Okay, so once you go down, so let's tabulate it. So let's tabulate length scale. So for largest eddy and for smallest eddy. Okay, so we are going to do the things in the way of order of magnitude analysis here itself, to understand energy cascading and these length scales, order of magnitude here. Okay, so largest eddy has length scale L, let's suppose. The smallest eddy length scale here, we call this as Kolmogorov or eta. We just define it because the researcher Kolmogorov, Russian maybe, he defined this. We call this eta, and after that it dissipate away things in viscous manner. But till then it has some length scale of order eta, and which is very smaller. I mean L much will be much higher than eta, that's for sure. Okay, when we talk about velocity scales, okay, so we call this, at largest scale we have u velocity, and the smallest scale we have, let's suppose, small v. For the timing, it's not y velocity, it's just v. We call this as, in turbulent flows we call smallest eddy velocity scale as v, and largest eddy velocity scale as u. Okay, for this case your Reynolds number is very high. So what does it mean? It means your inertia dominates over viscosity. Okay, since obviously L is much greater than eta, that is why. Okay, and okay, that, I mean, it has nothing to do with L is greater than eta. So in general, since the Reynolds number is high, than a critical Reynolds number, your inertia is much greater than viscosity. But when you talk about the length scales, I mean, I'm sorry. So we should talk about largest eddy. So Reynolds number is very high, so inertia is dominated by viscosity. But when you talk about the smallest eddy, so smallest eddy is characterized, how it is characterized, it just undergoes viscous dissipation. What does it mean, viscous dissipation? It means viscous effects are just balanced by inertial effects. Okay, that is why it has been dissipated through viscous effects. So here your Reynolds number is what? It's close to 1, that's for sure. And this is a very good way to look into the molecular level length scales and time scales, because we know that your viscous effects just balances your inertial effects in order to take away the energy from the smallest length scale to the viscosity to the viscous dissipation or heat. So that is why Reynolds number is 1, why your inertia just balances your viscosity. Okay, it is order of 1, that's for sure. Now this gives a notion of doing the order of magnitude analysis in order to understand things better. Okay, so let us do it quickly. Let us do it quickly. बाद में बात करेंगे, अभी क्लास में. So here are a few terminologies I want to talk about before going into the details of order of magnitude analysis. So we often talk about something called rate of extraction of kinetic energy from mean flow, and that too per unit mass, per unit mass basis, mass way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to estimate my kinetic energy over here, and I'm going to estimate my kinetic energy over here. And we also know that energy does not destroy away, so energy in some way or other way it propagates or cascades into smaller eddies, largest and smaller, and then smallest eddy, and the energy becomes dissipated away. But energy does not will not be created, not be destroyed. But so we are going to balance our energy from these two length scales as well in order to understand the behavior in much microscopic way. Okay, so we call some variable, generally we call k, or in some book it is also written by pi. Okay, kinetic energy rate of, so this is called rate of kinetic energy per unit mass. Okay, so what could be its order? So what could be its order? It should be half. So what is the kinetic energy? Half m u square. U is the velocity scale at largest eddy. Okay, so half m u square per unit mass. This goes away. Half u square, and this is rate also. We have to divide it by time. So what is the time? So time is nothing but length by, so velocity is equal to distance by time. So time is equal to distance by velocity. So distance is L by u, isn't it? So I can write half u square 1 upon L by u, which I can write u cube by 2L, or I can write of the order of u cube by L. Okay, so we can actually estimate that pi, the rate of extraction of kinetic energy, will be of order of u cube by L, where u is the velocity scale at largest steady time, largest steady structure, and L is the length scale of largest eddy structure. Let's suppose this is my first order of magnitude. Okay, now let's go further, deep dive into the things. So at the end of things are going away through viscous dissipation. Okay, so we can write rate of dissipation of kinetic energy at molecular level. Okay, how could I write? So that is often given by epsilon by the textbooks. Okay, obviously that is per unit mass as well. So it is of the order of, so epsilon is what? Strain is some sort of, epsilon is nothing but your, is related to the dissipation or viscous dissipation. So it is nothing but mu times the strains epsilon Eij times Eij. So these Eijs are nothing but the strain rates, rather strain rates. Okay, so strain rates are defined as how it is defined. So in some one-dimensional sense, dou u by dou y or dou v by dou x, or all sorts of strains are there. Okay, so it will be of order of what? Some velocity scale divided by the length scale. So velocity scales that govern such molecular level, we define it as v, and the length scale it is defined as smallest length scale is eta. So it is order of v by eta, isn't it? So I can write it as mu times v by eta times v by eta, isn't it? So it is order of mu v square divided by eta square. So we know that epsilon is of the order of mu times v square divided by eta square. Let these things be second equation, and we also know that the energy that is coming from the kinetic energy from the mean flow must be equal to the rate of dissipation. Okay, so we also know that energy should be balanced. It should not go in and out anywhere. Okay, so your pi must be order of epsilon. This is my third equation. Okay, so from third we can actually estimate that your u cube by L must be of the order of this thing, mu times v square by eta square. Okay, one more thing we didn't talk about is, this is also a very nice thing. I mean, we should also take care of this. Reynolds number must be order of 1 in order to dissipate things. Okay, inertial effects must be equal to viscous effects at molecular level. So what is my Reynolds number at molecular level? So V L by mu must be equal to 1. So this is one of your fourth equation. Let me write it fourth. Okay, you can also write. So essentially this Reynolds number is based on eta only, length scale. Okay, so V eta by mu at smallest level, which is not valid for, we cannot write u L by mu is order of 1. Why? We don't know, because which is very high. So this is not a valid assumption, but this is a valid assumption at molecular level. Okay, now we'll take use of this and we'll then summarize it in 5 minutes. Okay, I will not take much time. Okay, now I will take another pen. So I will take this thing. I'll write it again. Epsilon of order of mu v square by eta square. So eta square I can take. So it will be order of mu v square by epsilon. Okay, now v square. What is my v square? Okay, now v square I can V square I can write of order of mu square by eta square, right? I can write from 4. So from 4, I can write V square as mu square divided by eta square, and epsilon is there. Okay, from 4. Now I can write this eta and eta multiply. Eta to the power 4 must be order of mu cube, right? Mu cube by epsilon. Okay, and now finally I can write eta of order of mu cube by epsilon to the power 1 by 4, and this is your Kolmogorov length scale. Okay, so Kolmogorov length scale, the lowest length scale you can find it of order of the ratio of mu cube by the rate of dissipation of kinetic energy to the power 1 by 4. That's all. This is very good relation, and which will be advantages in all of our future slides. Okay, next length scale, I will take 2 more minutes. I can also write so from 3 we will take 3, so pi is equal to epsilon. Okay, so pi is equal to epsilon means what is pi? So pi is of order of epsilon, so pi is what? U cube by L of order of mu times V square by eta square. Okay, now I can write mu times V square, again I can write from here mu square by eta square. So mu square by eta square, or eta square was there, so this is nothing but mu cube by eta 4. Okay, so I can do some manipulation, so this is U cube by L. Okay, so U cube by L and this we can manipulate something, so I can write eta to the power 4 is equal to mu cube L by U cube. What I do is divide it by L4 throughout, L4. So here I get, I'll write it here. So here I will get eta by L to the power 4 must be equal to mu L cube, mu L by V to the whole cube. And what is this thing? This is nothing but 1 upon Reynolds number. No, sorry, this is nothing but Reynolds number to the power 3. And this is what? Eta by L. Okay, so eta by L to the power 4 is equal to Reynolds number to the power 3. So eta by L is equal to, is nothing but, so I did some mistake, VL by mu, so this would be minus 3. Okay, and this now minus 3 by 4. Okay, now this is also a very, so let me write it properly over here. This is also a very widely used expression. So eta, Kolmogorov scale, length scale, so this has significance towards the ratio of Kolmogorov length scale divided by the channel length scale. We have an estimate now. We can now do the ratio, and it tells that this is nothing but Reynolds number of length scale L to the power minus 3 by 4, if I am not wrong. Okay, this is very large, this has very large implications. So you have order of magnitude analysis in terms of Kolmogorov length scales, and we also have a picture of the length scale ratios, how much it should be in any typical Reynolds typical turbulent flow, as the ratio between these two length scales would be order of Reynolds number to the power minus 3 by 4, if I am not wrong. Let me verify that if I am not wrong, it should not be wrong. Probably I will write, I am right, or maybe if I am wrong, I can do, I may missed something, but probably I'm right. Okay, so these two expressions I will take as a pinch of salt for our next few slides. Okay, in the later slides we will talk about more in details. Okay. Yes. Any question so far?
सर
हाँ
सर ये कोलमोगोरोव लेंथ स्केल हमने डिराइव किया ना अभी,
हाँ हाँ बोलिए।
तो सर उसका मतलब क्या मतलब होगा? ईटा जो हमने डिराइव किया उसका मतलब ये होगा कि जैसे जैसे मतलब वो अपनी काइनेटिक एनर्जी लेके आगे जा रहा है तो वैसे वैसे उसके जो लेंथ में चेंज आ रहा है वो है कोलमोगोरोव लेंथ।
नहीं देखो चेंज ऐसा कुछ नहीं, ये सारी चीज़ें साइमल्टेनियसली हो रही होती हैं। मतलब इस स्ट्रक्चर के पास लार्जेस्ट एडी स्केल भी है उसी समय इसके पास 2 स्ट्रक्चर और है, उसी समय इसके पास 50 स्ट्रक्चर और है छोटे स्केल में, उसी समय एक ही समय में हजारों लाखों अरबों स्ट्रक्चर्स मौजूद हैं उसी समय। तो हम एक्चुअली में हम क्या कर रहे हैं, एक्चुअली एनर्जी एनालिसिस करके हम एक ऑर्डर ऑफ मैग्नीट्यूड एनालिसिस करके हम एक रिलेशन देखना चाह रहे हैं। एक्चुअली हम कर नहीं सकते हैं, ठीक है, सब कुछ हम देख ही नहीं सकते हैं एक साथ। वो ये बोल रहा है कि हम एक फील ले सकते हैं कि एक्चुअल में मेरा हम एक रेशियो का मैग्नीट्यूड हम बता सकते हैं एक सर्टेन जाने पहचाने चीज के टर्म में। इतना तो हम कर सकते हैं और वो चीज हम किए अभी, ठीक है। तो ये कॉल्मोग्रोव लेंथ स्केल जो है सबसे छोटा लेंथ स्केल होता है किसी भी फ्लूइड मोशन में, टर्बुलेंट फ्लोज के फ्लूइड मोशन में सबसे छोटा लेंथ स्केल होता है। इसके बाद वो डिसिपेट कर जाता है हीट में, ठीक है। इससे छोटा कुछ भी नहीं हो सकता क्योंकि मॉलिक्यूलर लेंथ स्केल पे होता है। और उसका भी हम एक जाने पहचाने रेशियो के तौर पे हम एस्टिमेट किए। दैट्स इट। हमारा अभी इस लेक्चर में अभी इतना ही एम था कि ये जो नए स्केल्स हम डिफाइन किए उसको हम जाने पहचाने जो रिलेशंस हैं, जैसे रेनॉल्ड्स नंबर हुआ या फिर विस्कोसिटी हुई, उसके टर्म्स में लिखने का कोशिश करें। यही हमारा अभी तक एम था और कुछ नहीं। क्योंकि हम एक नया लेंथ स्केल डिफाइन किया आप लोग के सामने पहली बार, कॉल्मोग्रेव लेंथ स्केल। इसके लिए हम इसको जाने पहचाने चीज़ों में तोड़ने का कोशिश किया या फिर रिलेट करने का कोशिश की। दैट्स इट। अभी यही किए हैं, इतना ही किए हैं, ठीक है, ताकि हमको और समझने में आसानी हो चीज़ों को। क्योंकि हम रेनॉल्ड्स नंबर से हम हमेशा हम अवगत रहते हैं हमेशा, ठीक है। तो हम सभी चीज़ों को रेनॉल्ड्स नंबर के तरीके से देखना चाहते हैं, ठीक है। हम ईटा के टर्म्स में हम उनको मज़ा नहीं आ रहा था देखने में, तो हम सब चीज़ को रेनॉल्ड्स नंबर के टर्म्स में देखना पसंद कर रहे हैं। तो ये इस पूरे एक्सरसाइज का यही मतलब है अभी, ठीक है। हम जो डिफाइन किए ईटा उसको हम देखना पसंद कर रहे थे किसी जाने पहचाने वेरिएबल में, ठीक है। और कुछ?
मतलब सर जो सबसे लार्जेस्ट एडी है उसका अगर हम लेंथ एल सपोज कर लेते हैं तो उसी के
हाँ
अंदर जो सबसे स्मॉलेस्ट है उसको ईटा बोल रहे हैं।
हाँ, सबसे छोटा, ठीक है। और वो पैरेलली मौजूद होता है, ऐसा नहीं कि वो टूट के तो बनता ही है, पर वो पैरेलली हमेशा हर हर स्ट्रक्चर हमेशा मौजूद होता है इसमें। यही तो इसका सबसे खास बात है। मतलब तुम अब इसको कैसे, ये थोड़ा एक एब्स्ट्रैक्ट कॉन्सेप्ट है। लैमिनार फ्लो में जब तुम करोगे एक्स वाई जेड, और लेट्स सपोज मेरा टाइम कोऑर्डिनेट है, तो एक बार में तुमको एक प्रिसाइज पॉइंट मिल जाएगा, ठीक है। एक मेरा वेलोसिटी v जो है इस पूरे चैनल में एक मेरा v था, जिस जो किसी x पे, किसी y पे, किसी z पे मेरा एक u और v w था, और किसी एक टाइम पे था। सो x y z और टाइम पे एक u मौजूद था, और उससे हम सब कुछ कर पा रहे थे। लेकिन जैसे ही टर्बुलेंसी की बात आती है तो ये अकेला चीज़ यहाँ पे नहीं बैठा होता है यूं ही, ठीक है। इसके साथ इसका इनफाइनाइट फ्रेंड्स भी बैठे होते हैं। मतलब इसी में कई और इनफाइनाइट फ्रेंड्स भी बैठे होते हैं इसी टाइम स्केल, मतलब इसी टाइम पे और भी कई स्ट्रक्चर्स होते हैं इसमें, ठीक है। तो वो एस्टिमेट करना बहुत, और इसको एब्स्ट्रैक्टली देखना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाता है। तो हम मान के चलते हैं कि एक ही टाइम पे कई सारी चीज़ें हो रही होती हैं, तो हम उसका अंदाज नहीं लगा पाएंगे, हम उसको एस्टिमेट नहीं कर पाएंगे। तो हम लोग एक ऑर्डर ऑफ मैग्नीट्यूड एनालिसिस के थ्रू गए, और स्मॉलेस्ट एडी को हम डिफाइन चुकी किए थे अपने नए तरीके से, तो उसको हम रिलेट करने का कोशिश किए बस, ताकि हमको फ्लो फील्ड और अच्छे से देख सकें, ठीक है। और बताइए। एनीथिंग एल्स?
सर असाइनमेंट जो सर आपने दिया है
हम्म।
तो
हाँ
उसमें
हाँ,
सर वो ब्लेसियस इक्वेशन ऑब्टेन करके फिर उसको मैटलैब में शो करना है ना?
ट्राई कीजिए, नहीं कर पाए तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं, ट्राई कीजिए।
सर
हम्म।
उसमें मैंने मतलब एक दो वीडियोस देखे सर, तो उसमें
हाँ
ऐसा
हाँ।
था
हम्म।
कि आप है ना मतलब कोई भी दो स्केल लेके अगर दो स्केल की वैल्यूज ऑब्टेन कर लेते जैसे अगर यू इन्फिनिटी की वैल्यू जो है वो एक ले लेते हैं और एक कोई और वैल्यू ईटा सपोज करके कुछ लेते हैं, और वो दो का अगर हम इक्वेशन बना के अगर उसको एक्सेल में प्लॉट करें तो भी एक ग्राफ मिल सकता है ना हमको?
हाँ चल जाएगा, चल जाएगा,
चल
परफेक्ट
सकता
है,
है सर?
वो भी कर सकते हो। हाँ वो भी मिल जाएगा तुम्हें, सही है।
ओके
ठीक है,
सर।
एनीथिंग एनीथिंग इज फाइन फॉर मी। हाँ
तो सर वो एक बार मैं ट्राई करके देखता हूँ, फिर सर आपको कल पूछता हूँ वापस।
ठीक है, ठीक है, ओके ओके, बाय देन।
सर सर सर
बोलो।
सर एग्जाम की डेट और वो सब अभी कंफर्म हो गई है सर, लगभग 20 को खत्म हो जाएगा।
20 तो अभी हमारे पास टाइम है, मतलब चलो ठीक है।
तो सर इसमें EFM में मतलब सर थोड़ी तकलीफ हो रही है।
एक्चुअली देखो, ये बेसिक कोर्स तो है नहीं, थोड़ा बहुत तकलीफ तो लेना पड़ेगा। ठीक है, ठीक है, आप लोग
क्योंकि सर
घबराइए नहीं,
इसके
एग्जाम में हम क्वेश्चंस बहुत ज़्यादा ऐसा नहीं
पेपर हो
पूछेंगे। हम लीनियंट पे रहते हैं, आप सीनियर से पूछ सकते हैं, लीनियंट रहता है हम कॉपी चेक करने में। ठीक है, मेरा मेन एम ये रहता है कि आप लोग कुछ सीख के जाएं यहाँ से, दैट्स इट। ठीक है, बहुत ही सही,
सर।
बेसिक्स एटलीस्ट बेसिक्स सीख के जाएं। ठीक है।
यस सर। लेकिन सर इसमें इतने सारे मतलब सर डेरिवेशन वो सब है ना, 3 3 4 4 चैप्टर में लगातार।
डेरिवेशंस देखो, हम डेरिवेशंस इसलिए कराते हैं स्क्रैच से, क्योंकि अभी अचानक से हमको एक, जैसे दूसरे कोर्सेज में तुम देखे होगे अचानक से एक इक्वेशन आ जाता है, तो हम जब हम भी पढ़ते थे तो हमको अचानक से कोई क्वेश्चन आता था तो हमको मज़ा नहीं आता था। हमको जब तक उसको स्टार्ट से स्क्रैच से डिराइव नहीं करके देखेंगे तब तक हमको फील ही नहीं आता था कि वो क्या उसका पर्पस है, क्या सिग्निफिकेंस है। तो मेरा फिलॉसफी ऐसा रहता है पढ़ाने का कि हम स्क्रैच से चीज़ों को डिराइव करें, और उससे आपको अंडरस्टैंडिंग भी ज़्यादा रहेगा। अब अचानक से हम यहाँ पे लिख देते हैं, सी हम अचानक से ये दो इक्वेशन लिख देते हैं, ईटा इज इक्वल टू ऐसा होता है, मान लीजिए ईटा बाई एल रेनॉल्ड्स नंबर के बराबर होता है, बट इसमें आपको कुछ भी नहीं पता चलेगा कहाँ से क्या हो रहा है। लेकिन जब मैंने डिराइव किया, मैंने लॉजिकली डिराइव किया कि ये दो जो एनर्जी होता है यहाँ का, यहाँ के एनर्जी के बराबर होना चाहिए क्योंकि बैलेंस्ड होना चाहिए। मैंने बैलेंस किया और फिर वहाँ से एक चीज़ लेके आया। फिर मैंने ये भी बोला कि रेनॉल्ड्स नंबर जो है 1 के बराबर होता है अगर विस्कस डिसिपेशन में जा रहा है, मॉलिक्यूलर विस्कस डिसिपेशन में। तो इन सब चीज़ों का यूज़ करके मैंने जब ये लाया, तब आपको एक थोड़ा फील आ रहा हो कि एक्चुअली में क्या हो रहा है, कहाँ से आ रहा है। ठीक है, जो मे बी तुमको दूसरे कोर्सेज
पर
या फिर कहीं और। हाँ हाँ, तो वो ध्यान में रखना,
सर
हम
ये
ऐसा नहीं बोलेंगे तुम्हें एग्जाम में कि डिराइव करो इसे, ऑब्वियसली नहीं। हम जस्ट कॉन्सेप्ट देखेंगे कितना समझे हो। ठीक है, उसके लिए नहीं
और
घबराइए।
सर
हाँ,
सर जैसे हम ये टर्बुलेंट फ्लो अभी कर रहे हैं तो मतलब उसको कितना टाइम लगेगा अभी खत्म होने में?
हम 2 वीक में खत्म कर देंगे।
तो सर उसके बाद मतलब जितने चैप्टर हमने किए ना, मतलब अभी तक अपने
हाँ
लगभग यूनिट 5 तक किया है ना सर,
हाँ
टर्बुलेंट
हाँ
को इंक्लूड कर, तो सर
हाँ
उसके
हाँ,
हम मतलब एक एक करके सबके आप मतलब एग्जाम्पल जो जो आपने वो कराए थियरीज उससे रिलेटेड अगर एक एक एग्जाम्पल आप सॉल्व करा दें सर क्लास में,
ठीक है, ठीक है, ठीक है, ठीक है,
तो
करा
आइडिया
देंगे।
क्लियर हो।
ठीक है, ओके।
हाँ सर, क्योंकि वो जो एग्जाम्पल के बिना और ये सब थियरी वो मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, मगर सर
हाँ,
बहुत ज्यादा टफ।
फील नहीं आ रहा, हम समझ रहे हैं। हाँ हाँ, प्रॉब्लम्स करना भी चाहिए, जरूरी है। हाँ,
वो वो डायरेक्ट
कराएंगे।
थियोरी पर से हम प्रॉब्लम नहीं सॉल्व कर पा रहे हैं वो।
हाँ, वो कनेक्ट नहीं कर पाओगे, हम समझ रहे हैं। हाँ, वो एक
यस सर,
एक
यस।
समझ गया। ठीक है, ओके
थैंक यू सर।
ओके, हाँ, थैंक यू।
थैंक यू सर।
ओके, थैंक यू।